Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Mat Chat. We're brought to you by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com. We're brought to you by Resilite, the mat company, www.resilite.com, and pureandclean.us. Please support these companies. Joined today by the head coach of Ohio State, or the Ohio State University, and the National Duels Invitational team champion, Coach Tom Ryan. Coach, good morning and congratulations.
Hey, Dave. Good to be with you. Thank you. It's a fun weekend.
It was, by the way, the only person I know who put it on wax 2 weeks earlier that picked you guys was me. So I just want you to know that.
I love it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Let's talk just initially about your impressions of the event. As if I know, obviously, it's hard to separate you being a coach and one of the teams in the event, but just I know what a proponent of dual meets you are. Did it meet expectations? Did it check some boxes you hoped it would?
You know, I'd like to say that whether we won or not, it would have met expectations. You know, obviously, there's a ton of emotion the way the team wrestled. It was a great weekend for us. My guys performed really, really well. But regardless of whether we won or not, it's an event that just has to happen. You know, it has to happen for the sport. It's the crown jewel of the sport. You know, I was just, Dave, I was telling you offline, I was just on a call with a high school teammate.
Yeah.
It was our heavyweight. You know,
That's awesome.
and we're reminiscing. We're reminiscing about the dual meets. So he knows, you know, my team, we know our team just won. And we were talking about, you know, the locker room before and walking the hallways and finding guys in your hallway. Like, dude, you're Brian, how much you weigh? You weigh 112, you're wrestling. We need you to fill that hole. And other guys, you know, in your school, that when you got to field a team of 15 and the dual meet is king, more people are gonna participate in the sport, right? And then not everyone's a superstar, right? Not everybody in a tournament gets to wrestle in the finals, but in a dual meet, everyone wrestles. We used 14 athletes this weekend to win the championship, or 14 men. And as we know, right, in the tournament, it's 10 men. So it's the beauty, and again, the crown jewel of the sport, and we were really grateful to be a part of it.
So you guys don't normally go to Tulsa or Stillwater or OU because of the difference in conferences and things like that. Yeah. I did the play-by-play for the Big 12s for several years, so used to that arena. It felt very similar. I got to be honest. They used the same mats, some things like that. Overall, you're saying it met expectations. Obviously, there can be tweaks, but you thought it was good?
I thought it was great. I thought it was, really well thought out. You know, and you've got, you know, minds like, you know, Chad is a really successful business person, obviously the owner of Paycom, founder of Paycom, and then just the team he put together. He really wanted to give it a feel like it was a national championship, and it felt that way. You know, even the red and green carpet, which I know wrestling fans are used to coming out.
Right.
It was on a stage. All the best teams are there for the most part, except for Penn State. So that you know, there was a high quality there, and it was a great event. A great event. We're going back. You know, the other thing I said was early on was, is it too early? And you know, we know wrestling's complicated because it's an individual. You know, we've determined a national championship by individuals, but how do you put something together a year together that allows you to recognize the best team, but also the best individuals? And I thought early on wouldn't be good, but I kind of liked it. So now it's odd to have a championship for one of the first few weekends of the season. That's odd, but in our sport, we got to think outside the box. And when is the perfect time? You know, I used to think it was before the Big Tens. Then I thought it might be better after the NCAAs. And now I'm thinking this wasn't too bad. And the way we wrestled, maybe we do it every year at this time, you know?
It was good for you guys for sure. Yeah. It was, you said a couple things I want to come back to. First of all, you mentioned the 14 wrestlers. It was interesting when you have a press patch, you can kind of float around, and for people that couldn't see it, there were spots where you could stand if you had a pass between the two teams. So like say between, you know, Ohio State and their opponent. I was very impressed by the camaraderie and the support of your team for each other. And it's hard you know this, you've coached a long time. It's almost impossible at like the national tournament, right? Because you're managing 10 individuals. You probably have 3 or 4 coaches like, hey, David, you're in charge of the 25s and 33s, et cetera. And your job is to get the most points. Those guys' job is to get the most points they can, and we add them up, and hopefully we got enough.
Right.
The duel is very different, in my opinion, because like when Brendan McCrone won on Saturday morning, one of the first guys' hands he slapped was Nick Bouzakis. And I have no idea the dynamic there, but they're fighting for the same spot. I'm smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very cool. Another friend of mine pointed out that some other teams, like they were only really kind of rooting for 2 or 3 kids, and they were kind of sitting on their hands for the other 7 or 8.
Yeah.
What's your impression of, I guess, your own team, but also like how dual meets can bring out support from the team?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than the brotherhood of shoulder to shoulder, one man after another, and the sum total, right, of each, determines the winner. And in regard to McCrone and Bouzakis, they're roommates.
Come on, really?
They're roommates. I mean, they're both, arguably either one of them, if they had a really good weekend, could win it. Like McCrone he's beating Lillidahl, and he's paying some really good people. So they're roommates now. When they decided to live together, I don't think that they knew that Nick would drop to 25, right? But they're close, they're friends, and you saw them cheering for each other. And it's really, I think it's driven by just our staff and the culture, in the program. And that's not an easy thing to do, right? Watch someone do well that might take something that you want, right? That's high level emotional intelligence, right? To cheer for someone that actually might take what you really want. But when you constantly preach the bigger picture, and it is about Ohio State. Listen, don't get me wrong, I wrestled because I love wrestling. But when I wore that Iowa singlet, it was about the University of Iowa. And what can I do to serve this program better? And I think that's the mindset, and that's what we preach and talk about. And we watched it this weekend, work really well. There's a few weights that are up for grabs for us, but they're all, side by side cheering. So it's a fun weekend for us. Yeah.
You mentioned the emotional intelligence, and it reminded me back when I was in high school, I was better than my brother, and he was super supportive.
Yeah.
And I told my friends, I go, I would never be as good of a brother. I was too selfish. Like I wanted to win too much.
Right.
Hopefully you grow out of that. I think I root for all my friends now, even though it's like, I don't have to win and you lose. Like if you lose and you win and I lost, it's still a good day at the office kind of thing. So,
great families, right, Dave? I mean, these kids are from really good families. They're not kids. They're men.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Men now, they're 18, 19, 20. Some are older. Great men, and they're a lot of fun to coach. And they're, we talk a lot about, like, do you want to be in a position in the lineup? It's kind of like a stolen position, or do you want to be the guy that is involved in an organization and you truly want the best guy in the lineup? Like, do you want it to be you no matter what, or do you truly want it to be the best guy? And we talk a lot about that as a staff and with our team. I want a group of men that you're willing to do everything you can to become a master of the sport. But at the end of the day, that the guy that has earned the spot belongs in it. And our guys believe that, and they buy into that. And it's because it's truth. The best thing, right? So culturally, I think we're in a good spot, and these guys care about each other a lot, and it showed.
Yeah, it really did. Let's get into the wrestling a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys went 8-2, 8-2, 9-1, 6-4, 31-9 overall. 3 of the matches that you lost in the final were 4-1 overtime matches. At one point, Jesse Mendez had outscored the entire Iowa team up to 174 pounds. I was lucky enough to listen to the press conference that you guys did. I think it was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I was struck very much by your last 2 minutes on there. At the time, I felt very good about my prediction at that time that you guys were coming for it. Obviously, you expect to win. You know the amount of work your staff puts in, these young men put in. I mean, just being as honest as you're allowed to be, did you guys sort of exceed expectations that you sort of boat raced everybody?
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I never want to I never doubt any of my guys. I know what their capacity is, right? I watch them train. You know, I see their love for aggression. I mean, they're aggressive. They're aggressive wrestlers, and you watch that. And look, the summer was great. Preseason was great, and and then we wrestled, pretty well at Clarion. We looked good at UTC. We weren't really tested a ton, and we knew we had some huge tests coming up. And you believe that when you see how they're training and how much they love the sport, you see, you know what, this is possible. Like Cannon can do a number on some people, and then you get there, and when you do it, even though it's like, whoa, that was a heck of a weekend. Like we won like almost every matchup where we were the underdog. And in many ways, in dominant fashion. So yes, I thought we could, but you still are living with, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always go that way. And when it does, you feel really good about it. So yeah, I thought we could. I don't doubt any of the guys I have on my team, but to do it the way we did it was, even we're sitting back going, whoa, I guess people think we can coach again, like, it's like, oh, where were we so long? But we just got a great group that care about each other. They work real hard, and we've been fortunate to stay healthy all summer and get some really good training in.
Well, as an outsider, you see a lot of these kids, and sometimes, I guess young men's a better word, but like the number 3 to number 13 guy are all one scramble apart sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, I know every coach in the world's a little greedy. I think you get back on the plane or the bus or whatever it is, and you go, we could have had 65, we could have had 74, we could have had 84 in the finals. So you sort of lost those coin flips, those scrambles. And then there was other matches where you won the scrambles. There's other matches like, Cannon against Antrell Taylor. That was crazy. A question ran through my head. If you don't want to answer it, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. If you're the coach of Nebraska and they just had a bad day Saturday or Sunday, and they're a very good team, they just had a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, if that bad day happened to you guys, do you go through the film, or do you just kind of say to your team, look, that's not who we are. We had a bad day. We're still, one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
How would you handle that if you were on that side of it?
Yeah. One, I certainly wouldn't catastrophize it. You don't blow up the blueprint. I mean, they got a great program, right? All those programs are really good. So, we would certainly pull out. We certainly go over film.
Sure.
You always go over film, right? Just self-assessing. Look, the match was a lot closer than you think. I mean, here's a position that if you change this position, that everything changes.
Right.
So we in any tough losses, it's never a time you self-assess, but you never blow up the plan. We believe in our plan, right? We believe in the blueprint of the fundamental training that we do, and the kind of the periodization of what we're doing when. And you have to disassociate, right? The brain wants to protect us in some ways, but you got to disassociate one performance, one weekend from another. What happened in one weekend doesn't mean it's going to replicate itself in the next weekend. You still got to do the work. So, I mean, and
it goes both ways, right?
It goes both ways, right? Winning and losing. Like we're now going to be complacent. Like we can get a lot better. Like I'm not happy we lost 3 overtime matches. Like we could have won every one of those matches. So as well as it went, I'm not happy we had a leg in the air 4 times. We had a single leg in the air. We lost it all 4 times. We had a leg where we were about to finish and we lost it. So as well as it went, you can point out, right, areas of learning that are needed. And we are. It's like, hey, we had a great weekend, and we're grateful for the weekend we had. I think the biggest thing for us and any team is, this, you've coached for a long time. You've been around a lot of elite people. Belief is so powerful. And like when my mom told me something, I believed her. I had full trust in my mother. Full trust in my mother. She would never lie to me. And trust is best friends with progress, right?
I'm writing it. Well, trust is best friends with progress. I love that. Keep going, right? Coach.
I mean, they are like, you know, the shark and that little fish that lives on the outside of the shark. They need each other, you know. They're in a symbiotic relationship, trust and progress. And what, you know, I think what was so powerful for us as an organization, as a program, you know, was the trust that was built within our program, that the morning quarter mile sprints and the extra ropes and the things, the system that were the morning skill, it's working. And when trust grows, progress increases. And when you get more progress, you trust more. And you just have this, you know, elevator, this elevator approach, this yin and yang. So it was just so, you know, it was early, but we're not, by no means do we think we've peaked. Like, we can get way better. And I think we flew back and you meet with your team, and it's like when you're suffering in practice, you connect it to the results and the progress. So I think that was the biggest thing for us, it's just gaining trust, more trust of our team. And then even the recruiting world, you know, the recruits out there saying, you know, that was a heck of a performance. They must be doing something different or something right. If they can do it with that kid, they can do it with me. If they can do it with that young man, they can do it with me. So I think that was of all the takeaways. I mean, the $240,000 was nice too. Right? I mean, we didn't go there for the money. We went there because the dual meet matters, you know, and we would have went regardless. But that was a nice bonus. But the single most valuable thing was the togetherness, the unity of a team really coming together, and the trust, that was built early on in the year, that when we say, you know, stay on the treadmill and suffer more, you're more willing to stay on the treadmill and suffer more, you know?
Yeah. So suffering's a part of the process of winning, no matter, you know, it's before winning in the dictionary for a reason.
100%. And, you know, like Jesse wouldn't say it was suffering, like, you know, people like us that deeply love it. But I think it just creates a term that it is suffering, but some people just choose to love it, you know. And Jesse chooses, he wouldn't use the word suffer, he would use the word love. I think suffering is, you know, so yeah.
Let's talk about Jesse. Like, you see all these guys now, and there's the new proposed possibility 5 for 5. Now, if you get a hangnail, it feels like you can get a medical red shirt. And you have people 7 years in. Wrestling's a really hard sport on your body. It feels like it's a funnel when you're 6 to wrestling 300 matches a year, which is probably 260 too many, honestly.
Right.
And, you know, it wears down the tread on the tires, your ligaments, your joints, all that. He's a kid that young man, he's gone 4 for 4 straight through, you know, no red shirts, no medical red shirts.
Yeah.
To me, he's a strong candidate for 65 kilos and 28. The quote from the national semis last year when they asked him how he beat Bartlett, and he just said, "I'm tougher," and meant that with you could tell he just absolutely believes that.
Yeah.
What kind of leader has he been for your program? Because even though he's just a senior now, I have to imagine once you win that, like we had kids, they'd win nationals. I'm like, whether you want to be a leader or not, you're a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this guy is special. Look, in the NIL space, he's a man that probably could have got substantially more NIL money. Not probably, without question. Right. Chose to stay regardless. He and Jaggers and Stieber, right? They've got 8 titles between them. They're like, it's like a mad factory in that wrestling room in the morning where these guys are just troubleshooting positions. And so he is a tremendous leader. Now, as a freshman, we needed a 33 pounder, and his decision, he came to us and said, you put me in, I'll help the team. I mean, we didn't have to ask him to not redshirt as a freshman. Now, remember, if you redshirt as a freshman and things go as they are, he might win, right? He's got a chance to win 4, potentially, right? Because he wrestled as a freshman. Now, I'll never forget, it was his freshman year. He won 2 matches back to back that won us a trophy, right? He ended up placing. but it was his grit. He was down by 1 with 6 seconds left. And they go back to the center and he gets a takedown. Like, who does that? Particularly at that level. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Very rare. And he's a rare mindset. He's the guy that until time is out, if he lost, I can't believe he lost. Like, you just think he's going to win until there's no time in the clock, right? He just has that about him. He loves the place. He loves the team. He wants to win the team title. And he'll stay here and train for as long as, he loves the sport and wants to compete. But in every way, he's a leader. I mean, we went 20-0 in our lightweights, right? In 4 duels, we didn't lose the match, 157 down. Part of that's Jesse. Part of that is we got really good men there. But when you wrestle, I mean, you see how hard it is to wrestle for 7 minutes. Imagine an hour. Like, you better have your big boy shorts on. If you come to practice and you're going to choose Jesse as a partner, because he doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. It's like, your feelings aren't my concern. I'm just going to give everything I have. And if you can hold up, great. And if not, you assess why you can't, So he's just a great leader. We're going to miss him. But he'll be in our room for a long time. So,
yeah. Another kid, and I don't want to say this, I think people that follow wrestling and all know how good this young man is, but I was super high on Ben Davino. Like, obviously great redshirt year, great credentials. There's a reason why you recruited him, a reason why he went to an elite program. I'm sure he had other elite choices. I know you guys believed he could beat the quality of a Drake Ayala. Maybe you believed they could beat him 3 takedowns to none.
Yeah.
But like, I was nerding out with my dad the other night. I'm like, we got to watch the final match together at 133. He does this barrel roll dump, and then the second time he doesn't get pressure and goes back slap high crotch. I'm like, and it's a position every kid in America gets. You get stuck short on a shot.
Yep.
And you said it earlier, everybody can get better, but this young man looks pretty good early in the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that, there's a lot of, sometimes it's family pressure, right? Sometimes that social media gets to them and you start to, almost, right. Life's fear can start to get you, expectations. We were getting ready for the finals, and he was getting ready to wrestle Ayala. And I was watching him, and this image overwhelmed me when I was watching his excitement before the match. And it was when I was in, we didn't grow up with a ton. We grew up with everything that mattered as a family.
Yeah.
I mean, we had love and truth and all these great things in my home. But we didn't have a ton of money. But I remember coming downstairs. There were 2 bedrooms upstairs. I'm walking down. It was Christmas morning. And there's a Huffy bicycle under the tree.
Okay.
Right. There were a bunch of them. We all got bicycles for Christmas. And that was like unthinkable. I got my own bicycle. And I remember the joy I had. Like, it's one of the great memories of my childhood. I got a ton of them. But now when I'm watching this kid, I'm thinking, he thinks he's getting a Huffy. Like, he thinks he's getting a Huffy. He's going to go wrestle Drake Ayala. But there's no place this kid would rather be. He was so excited. He couldn't wait for the moment. And that's him all the time, whether it's morning practice, lifting, choosing Jesse or whatever as a partner. He has a love for this. He has a love for it. And when you have a deep love for it, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. So we're seeing that, right? We're seeing his story unfold of a guy that loves to learn, loves to train, loves to win, loves to compete. And he's a lot of fun to have in our program.
Yeah, he's special. You can tell. And like, we do a lot of the matchup stuff. I mean, my family, I'm blessed to be a coach's son. And so you kind of look at it through a different lens, not like, well, he's strong, but like, hey, these positions, this guy might have a better skill set, etc.
Yeah.
He feels like I can't wait to watch him wrestle Bird. And then I can't wait to watch both sides make adjustments and, all those kind of things. You mentioned something that we didn't know the answer to. We called, like, if every duel was going to start at 125 or not. Because, there's the rules better than I do. But, like, there was an option that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I told my buddy, I go, Ohio State's winning this tournament. I said, because momentum's a real thing. Like, if the Iowa duel starts at 65 and they go overtime, and now it's 9-0, and Dean wins, and it's 12-0.
Yeah, right. No, you're right.
It feels different, right? Am I crazy, or it feels different?
No, momentum's real. And in order to stop momentum, you need a bad dude, right? You're gonna have to have someone that can handle the lack of oxygen in the place.
That's a great way. Yeah.
And there's nothing to breathe. And it really kept the crowd quiet, because we were further from, so it kept people out of it, quite a bit, in those early weight classes. And yeah, we're glad it's, we got a good group, yeah.
Well, it felt to me like once Styles won, you figure it's almost unfair, but you're like, well, Mendez is going to win. He's probably going to bonus. Listen, you put Nick Bouzakis on a 9-hour weigh-in recovery. I'm like, that dude's win. I'm like, I told my friend, I go, they're not wrestling Bouzakis in the morning. I go, what do you mean? I go, that dude's at the buffet right now.
Yeah. I had that pretty rough tractor trailer accident about a year and a half ago. So I haven't been able to work out, wrestle with the guys, which is, I love doing so much. And, but recently I've been able to at least hand fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, my legs just don't work that well, but I can squeeze and push and pull. And I wrestled I was hand fighting with Buzzakis, and I'll hand fight with him. And then when I'm starting to feel it, I go climb a rope, and he's got to climb a rope. And as soon as he gets off, I jump on him. And when I start to feel it, climb a rope, I give myself every advantage possible. And this dude was ragdolling me.
Really?
Yeah. Like the strength that he has is real, man. And if you get him, so he's just really, really strong guy. And we saw that from the position where the Iowa opponent kid's good.
Yeah.
He's a good wrestler. He just beat the number 2 guy in the country. He just beats Bradley the match before. So he's probably coming in with a bunch of confidence. And and the other, if he gets his hands locked, you've got a problem. Like, you can't unlock them. It's like an alligator's jaw or something. Like, you're not getting them unlocked. And and he's excited, loves the team, and wants to help. And he's struggled a little bit. Things haven't gone the way that I think anyone thought they would go for Nick. Coming out of high school. And there were really high expectations, and the sport's tough and competitive.
Right.
So, but it was regardless of who we put on the mat, we know we can pin at that weight class. So.
Yeah, just quick on this. I want to ask you about your injury. But it's like, if you're an Iowa fan, you go, hopefully we're up 6-0 after the first 2 matches, right? And instead it's 9-0, which is a 15-point swing.
Yeah.
We talked about the differences in duels and tournaments, and my dad has this great saying. He says, tournaments, your best guys win it, and in duels, your worst guys win it or lose it, because
that's so powerful, dude. That's the beauty of the duel.
Right. Yeah. The most you can get is 6. It's like, especially when you see like freestyle junior duels and you're beating me 9-0 and I get you to step out, so it's, so even if you tech me, it's 4-1 instead of 4-0, like you can score a point even if you lose. Yeah.
Right. And Dave, that's the lifeline of our sport. I've got supporters and friends that I didn't get pinned. I didn't get majored. I saved the team a point or two. And that's just real in life. You're not always going to be the superstar. You're going to be the guy that, mitigated loss, and that's the beauty of the duel. So
tell me a little bit about what you learned from your injury, because I know you're a person that's always trying to grow mentally, and I know you're still getting back to it, but we're obviously very active in the room. And when that gets taken from you, I would assume, knowing your personality the way, at least I think I do, that you're going to find ways to grow in other areas. What did it sort of do to you emotionally, spiritually, mentally?
Yeah. I really, it was probably, obviously, some people in the wrestling community know that, my wife and I lost our 3rd child in 2004, who was 5. And that was, obviously, one of the toughest times of my life. And, it's still tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never fully heal from loss like that. you just get stronger. You still have this missing piece, but you grow around the missing piece, and you just get stronger. That was a different experience than hitting a tractor trailer at 65 miles an hour that was parked on the side of a road, actually parked on the road. It has challenged me in ways that I've never been challenged. Mentally, not being able to sweat, work out, the natural endorphins that are released. I need that. My brain needs that. And not having that, I felt very trapped. And I actually got very depressed for a while and needed some help to pull through it, which is something I thought I would never need. So I've learned to lean on people more. I think I've always been someone that is willing to lean on people, but really through this, be really open and honest if you're struggling. I was really struggling emotionally. Let my wife know, let my kids know. So that was tremendous growth. I also learned, I was never hurt. I've never been hurt. Now it's a little better understanding my student athletes are hurt and you can't do the things that you're used to doing. Maybe a little more sympathy and an understanding of what they're going through. And before it was just like, you're gonna be fine. You're out for 6 months. You're gonna be back. No problem. But the mental side of, I just really never, it's hard to understand something you've never been through. And I've grown a lot. I think through. I'm always grateful, but I'm more grateful. God saved me. My car is like an Accordion, the Subaru, which people made fun of me for driving. My team, my guys, some of my guys are hunters. They want to be in an F-150 or a Ram, and I'm driving around in a Subaru. Like, dude, we can't wrestle for you. The Subaru, and you carry a little fanny pack now. What's going on? So I'm like, I bought it for a reason. I got grandkids. Durability and reliability. I tell them, same reason why I recruited you. Durability and reliability. That's why I got my car. That's a lens I see the world through. Who can I surround myself with that has those traits? And this car did, and it saved my life. So just a ton of learning through it. Just, again, obviously deep gratitude, stronger belief. I think of a stronger belief, but belief in God, that God is real. And that for some reason he chose to protect me in that situation. And for some reason, right, he chose to not save my son, right? He could have. So you manage that in your life with your faith, and why sometimes do people come through things like this and sometimes not. So it's a ton of learning, and I'm grateful for it. When I hit the tractor trailer, I would have said, don't do this. This is a bad idea, but when you have time to reflect, it's like, wow, like this really transformed me in some ways. And it's like the book by Jim Murphy, Inner Excellence. All things work for my good. That's a tough philosophy to live by. But if you have an open mind and really think about it, all things do work for my good. And if you don't think that way, you get stuck in poor me. Poor me doesn't help anybody. So it's been a tough road, but one I wish I didn't have, but one that I'm also grateful for.
Yeah, it's amazing when there's sometimes when people aren't winning in life, they kind of look at people that are winning like, well, that guy got lucky or they were born into it. And I do think physical talent exists, but I also think winners look at life a certain way and people don't win look at life a certain way. A lot of that can be environmental, and you can become a winner by getting around the right environment, and that's obviously what coaching staffs and programs believe in. But when I saw what happened to you, I'm like, that guy's going to win because, like back to your story when, you walked on at Iowa and everything through that and what you preach at your program, I'm like, there's no way it doesn't surprise me that you would become depressed, because when you can't do what you love, it's deeply saddening. I mean that in no terms of weakness. It's just normal human reaction.
Yeah.
But I also knew you wouldn't let that beat you. And I think there's certain people, whether they're at a distance like me and maybe just send a text that says, Coach, we're praying for you, or people that are in your inner circle that are telling you every day, you're a freaking winner.
Yeah.
You can do it. God loves you, whatever those right words are. It's interesting because a lot of coaches watch these podcasts because you're doing what they want to do. You're coaching at the highest level. And I think that being able to lean on other people, the trust is best friends with progress is a quote that I love. And, I kind of thought we'd end up talking a lot about the weekend, and we did, but I think the lessons you're passing on here are probably just as valuable, because people can nerd out and watch the wrestling, but they can't get to pick your brain like this. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's a very personal thing.
Well, yeah, thanks, Dave. And the reality is, like, I think about what I reflect now as a 56-year-old, why did a 19-year-old leave a full scholarship and walk on in a place where, there was a guy that clearly was better than him at the weight class? Why would I do that? And I mean, there, I have the gift of time now to look back on it, and it was my home life. It was my home life. It was a mother that I fully trusted. It was a father and a stepfather that never ever said you can't. That never put anything on a pedestal. They never beat me down. They were always honest with me. And those lessons you learn, like I always say, a house should be an incubator of love, right? And belief. It should be an incubator. It should foster big dreams and never squash them. And always with reality, with truth, right? Truth and love. Yeah, you can be whatever you want to be. It's going to take this, but you can be that. And I think that, that framework, and it's saddening to think that not every house is that way. That some kids, even at a young age, first grade, second grade, and before then, they establish a mindset that could haunt them when they're 25 and 30. And it does. And I'm just grateful that I was given parents that, and a family and an older brother. Right? My brother and I wrestled back to back at Syracuse and back to back in high school at some point. And I was just around people that were really uplifting. And then when you're around that, your lens only looks for that.
It's oh my God. Yeah. Yes.
That's all it's like if you're around negative, then you're attracted to, that's all I've ever been around. And you don't realize how damaging it is. And your lens is, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. That's all I've heard. And when you're not in that, you run from that. Like, what is that? So it's just, I'm just really fortunate, to grow up in a loving home, more than anything.
It's so ironic you say that, because I was at the tournament this weekend, and we had a bunch of different people from it all come together, and like the one person that you all knew was me, but we're all sitting and visiting. And then somebody sits down and they just start complaining. And I said to him, I go, hey, you're welcome. He wasn't actually invited. I go, you're welcome to sit there. But this is the wrong table to complain at. Like, here we're blessed.
Yeah, like, I'm with you. Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk to me privately about what you're upset about, I'm willing to, but my friends don't need to listen to all this.
Yeah.
And the more, you're right, you seek that lens, the way you said it is perfect. Like, once my parents, it's like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And they made a ton of sacrifices so I could do, like, when I started doing these podcasts, my dad's like, you'll be fine. My mom's like, here's some communication tips. And, it was never like, you're too old to start that. Like, just go do it. Just
go do it. I love it.
It'll be awesome. Yeah.
That. Yeah. And then to your point, so you have this framework of love and belief. And then the other thing for me that just transformed my life was Jay Robinson. Of course, Gable did too later. But in 8th grade, I chose to go because a teammate, a senior named Kenny Meadows, told me and my brother, and my lens was, I want to be great. So the only people in the room that I was watching were the ones that were setting the standard. Even as an 8th grader, they moved me to varsity. I wasn't a superstar, but I was okay. And I was watching the best in the room. And I said to him, why'd you get so good? How'd you get so good? Well, I went to this 28-day intensive camp. So me and my brother, hey, we signed up for 28 days. And that 28 days, I went 3 times. Every summer, I did the J. Robinson intensive camp. And then one summer, I did the Dan Gable 3-week intensive camp. But I was addicted. What I learned was the connection between hard work and success. I was taught how to work hard by Jay at a level that I didn't think was possible. 4 workouts a day for a month, and the connection, the work reward relationship was real. The harder you work for something, the better chance you have of attaining it. And those are some of the early on things in my life that were transforming for me, and I'm grateful for all these people, that, it's called just being a good follower, right? There's a great video on there, and the first follower. There's a great video on it. It's called The First Follower.
Okay.
It's about a kid that's dancing by himself in the field, and there's a bunch of people around, but they're watching him. He looks like a nutcase, right? And everyone's looking at him, and all of a sudden, number 2, the first follower, jumps up and starts dancing with him. And before long, everyone's dancing. Hundreds of people start dancing, and it was the leader that did it first, had the guts to do it without anybody doing it. But it was really the first follower that turned it into a movement. Is what they said. It turns into a movement, and now everybody following. So yeah, that's what I did. I was a follower and of the right man. You know.
Yeah, it's Coach, I haven't talked to you like on the air in a long time. It's been too long. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you answering the text so quickly. And I know you guys are you're the story in wrestling now, and I think your goal is to be the story in wrestling in about 4 months to the day from now.
That's the plan.
And I just appreciate you sharing, not the canned answers. It's deeply appreciated.
Thanks, dude.
I think, it goes without question that, we wish you the best of luck and health and good fortune the rest of the year. I'm going to sign this off. If you can hang on for 1 second, I need to ask you one thing off the air.
Yeah, David, I want to say one more thing.
Yes, sir.
We go, man, for people that my life before this weekend was equally as good as after the weekend. Like I'm fulfilled. My grandchildren, my marriage, my family, my team. I pour into them. If we win, listen, is it a lot of fun getting lots of texts and talking and watching my guys do really well? It's an incredible feeling. But there's something, right? The Holy Spirit is in me, and whether we blow everybody out or not, right? There's a sense of joy in my life.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to make sure that it isn't like, well, of course winning is fun and all these things and it feels good and but I got a great life. Whether we're the champs.
Weekend doesn't validate who you are as a man and a follower of God. For sure.
So that's it, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Hold on 1 second. I have to ask you something. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you soon.